Today we're going to go through the full process of creating a cute comic strip in Affinity Designer. Here's what we're going to make. First panel is Fox noticing something's up with Bunny, who's looking a little sad. He gets an idea, starts texting something. Bunny gets his message, reads it, and is delighted and happy again, while our Fox looks on, rather pleased with himself. All nice and simple. To turbocharge the process, I'm going to be using our new cute comic creator assets for Affinity Designer. Don't worry too much if you don't have it yet, as there's still a lot of super useful stuff in this tutorial that you can hopefully pick up. But in short, Cute Comic Creator is a collection of hundreds of assets, 8 full cute characters with a load of body and head poses, facial expressions, plus a ton of other stuff like speech bubbles, comic panels, vector brushes, paper textures, fonts, loads more. Check out the trailer and the links below if you're interested. Okay, enough of that, let's get going. So we want to start getting our characters on the stage. I've just set up a blank document. Right, let's have a look at our assets here. So here's a Cute Comic Creator. We have a bunch of different categories, so we'll probably come across most of them as we work through this. But let's begin with the bunny. So you can see we've got a bunch of head rotations and a bunch of body poses. So you can just drag and drop and start to put them together, and away you go. Okay, so I want the bunny to be kind of sitting down, a little bit despondent, till Mr. Fox comes and cheers her up. So there's a body, that'll do. We're going to put a phone into the hands a little bit, and I think we want a fairly neutral head. Let's see, center side, that will do nicely. And maybe even give that a little rotation. Line them up the way we want them. Okay, so there's our bunny. Let's change the expression. I'll open up the Universal Expressions panel. So we've got a whole bunch of different faces here. A little tip for you, if you click on the hamburger menu in the Assets panel, you can choose to show as a list or not. I find that the preview images can be a little bit buggy in Affinity Designer, as much as I love it, but having the words can just be useful to find something really quickly. If we have a look at the artwork over here, it's all grouped and there's subgroups inside. So if we drop down, we're able to see all the different parts that are in it. So inside the head, you can see we've got a face and a shadow on the head as well. If we want to replace the face, we can just drag and drop to do it. But just to make things a little bit easier, we want to put it inside the group. So if I click on the layer where the current face already is, and then let's drag in sad face. If I drop that in, you'll see it appears in the layer just above it, which is still inside the head group. So it just saves a couple of steps and just keeps things organized. So I'm just going to position that the way I want it. I can now click on face neutral, hit delete, and okay, so we've got our bunny posed and ready. We'll just give her a phone in a minute. But first, I think we shall add in our fox. So again, I'll go back to the assets panel and we want to have, this pose. So he'll just be kind of standing, looking on, wondering what's up. And we'll go for the same kind of head rotation. Doesn't need to be too wild. And I'm actually happy with his expression the way it is. He's just curious as to what's going on. Maybe just give him a little curious head rotation. What's happening? Okay. So I'm not worried too much about resizing anything at the moment and positioning it in panels. I'm just basically setting the scene, if you like, and then afterwards I can go in and start to edit that. So let's make a phone so that we can drop it in both their hands. Hit M to get the shape tool, and I'm going to draw a rectangle for the phone. If you hit M and it draws a circle, it just, every time you hit M, it cycles through the different kind of default shapes. You'll see it going there from square to circle to rounded corners. So yeah. And I want to give this rounded corners like typical phones. So I'll press C to get the corner tool, which is up here. Select the corners that I want to affect, and I will drag them in like that. Now, because these corners are still live, I can resize this and it keeps the same corner radius. But I'm happy with this, so I'm going to commit to this because I want the corners to scale up. If I try to make this a different size, you see that the radius stays the same. There's a few ways around that, but this is a very simple thing. So I'm just going to hit convert to curves up the top, and that's it. So now if I resize it, that curve is going to stay the same every time. Okay. So I want this to look like the outlines for everything else. There's a couple of ways of doing this. I'm just going to use a brush. So I have the brushes set up. So we've got the same brushes duplicated at 2 different widths. So this means that we know that every single line, that's a main line or one of the more detailed lines, it's going to look identical to everything else. So you don't have to worry about line weights or anything like that. You get everything nice and matched up. So I'll just pick one of the regular lines, and I'm going to make sure that my color is the same. I'll make sure that I'm setting the stroke up here. I'll press I for the eyedropper tool, which is down here, And if I click on that, you'll see that it changes the stroke to that. And then for the color itself, I'm going to press X, which will move me back to the set fill. And yeah, I think something like that will do. Another little trick. It's possible to make brushes so that they do perfectly loop on solid shapes, but here's a quick way around that because a lot of brushes don't have that. I'm going to use the A tool and I'm going to select where that end is, what the end point is. And if I go up here to my toolbar to break curve, you'll see that everything looks hunky-dory now. What that has done is it's split the lines. So it's no longer, they're not joined anymore, but they are in the same place. So it makes it look like it's a complete shape. Resize this down a little bit. Okay, so I want to put it in the fox's hand first. Make a copy. Command C, that'll copy it. So because of the way that these are set up, we've got all the body parts split out into layers. So if we want to put the phone in the sand, then it needs to be underneath that. So the easiest way to do that, I'll click on the layer below, I'll paste Control V, and if I'll drag that over, you'll see now that that's appeared in between the body lines and the front arm. So now I can move this, resize it, and it looks like it's in the right place. So yeah, so we'll just have him holding his phone casually while he's looking over at Bunny. Now we'll do the same thing for Bunny, but this is a little different because we've got the group at the head and then we've got the group with the body. So we need to have the hands above the phone, but we want both of these to be above the head. So I'm actually going to change the order of these a little bit. I'm going to select both of these arms, press 1 and then Shift to select the other one. If I drag that above the head, and I'm going to take this phone and I'm going to put it in between. Now, if I move it over, you'll see it's in the right place. So Bunny's not really paying that much attention to the phone right now. Too busy being sad. So this is pretty much the setup for the first panel. Now, for the next parts, I think for my layout, I'm going to have it split into 2 smaller panels. And these are going to be close-ups of each of the characters doing something. Fox sees Bunny being sad, has an idea, gets excited, wants to send a text message. So we're going to get a little bit more creative with this. So I'm going to select the entire Fox character and I'm going to copy it. A nice shortcut is to hold down Alt while you drag what you have selected, and that will create a copy of it. I am going to do a zoom in, a close-up of this. So the kind of the framing that we want will be something more like this. Let me get rid of that fill. So even though there's going to be other body parts there, they're not really going to be in frame. So I want to, be like a director and just choose which way I'm going to frame this. So we don't need to worry too much about the stuff that's underneath here. And we might even delete parts of that. But if I go in and, okay, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to move the body away for a second. The only thing I really want from this is the phone and the hand. And I'm going to cheat a little bit more and rotate this around. And I'm going to move it above the fox's face. I'm using a shortcut, Command and the square brackets left or right will move something up and down inside the layers like this. Be very useful. So I'm going to position that around here. I'm going to rotate the head around a little bit. Take the phone. And again, I'm going to use my shortcut, Command and square brackets, to reposition that. I have the hand up there, but I'm typing. Now, I could leave it like this. But the default artwork I have here, it has a shadow on it. So I could delete that. I could redraw the shadow in at the bottom. But I'm just going to cheat. I'm going to use the A tool so that I can select directly. I'm going to click on that shadow layer, and I'm going to turn it into a light layer. So up in my colors, I'm going to make it white, and I think that'll do fine. Okay, so I'm going to copy this again. I've got it selected. I'm going to Alt, click, drag, and then I'm just going to reuse the same element. If I right-click on that, go to Transform, flip horizontal, I now have a mirror image of the hand. Now, I think I don't need a full body, but what I will do is I'll just draw in one just in case. So I'm going to use the pen tool to put a path in. So when I click, if I click and drag, it'll start to bend the line and this will come down the other side for where its back is. I'll do that to complete it. So again, I want to use the same brush. I'm going to use the eyedropper tool, make sure I'm changing my stroke color, and then I'm going to press X to switch to set my fill color. I still have the eyedropper tool selected, and I fill that in orange. And then finally, I'm going to use my layer control shortcut, Command and square brackets. And I'll just keep tapping that until that's behind everything. Now, if I want, I can go back, use my A90 tool to go in and tweak this a little bit. Don't forget that we're only going to see, probably from the paws up. So I'm not too worried about anything beneath that. One of the reasons that I'm not resizing or anything right now is I just want to get all the characters done, have the same style and same proportions. I can then tweak it later on once I've positioned everything the way I want. So I don't need this at all. Yeah, that's going to be the second panel done. And then the next panel is going to be a small one as well. So it's going to be Bunny getting the text message and having a reaction to it. So I'm just going to copy this entire thing. Again, we're going to do something similar, and that we're going to kind of frame it, something like this, or maybe more like this, where they're just kind of looking down, because I want to leave some space for some effects or for some speech or a text message or something like that. And just so we're not completely reusing everything, I'm going to go to my assets panel again and change the expression. Go to my universal expressions. I'm going to click on the bunny head to find that. You can double click to go to the next object inside. So it went from the overall head to then the head shape. And if I double click again, it'll bring me to the expression. It's a quick way of getting to the right part without having to manually go and open up all the layers. So for this one, I think maybe we'll try the worried expression. When I drag that in, you'll see it appears just above the sad face. So I can go reposition that so that they match up. Click on the sad face layer and get rid of that. And we could do a little head rotation. Doesn't matter too much. Maybe we'll kind of have the phone, give it a little tweak so it's slightly different to the other one. Yeah, I think that's all that needs, to be honest. Again, we're going to zoom in quite close on this, but I think that will do it. Bunny's going to get a nice text message and then is going to be happy. Right, I'm going to start with Panda. Drag to select all of him and do my Alt drag trick to copy it. I held down Shift to keep it in the same place. And there's not too much I want to change on this, but we'll kind of give him, he's happy that he's done good. So let's try that. Click on the head, double click to get inside it, double click so that I've now got my neutral face selected. And let's give him a cheeky little wink. Position that the way I want it. Let's go delete the neutral face. Move this one over a little bit so that the fur shape matches the nose. Okay. And then for our final bunny, going to do a different pose. Let's see, we've got hands on face somewhere. There we go. And we'll do a slightly different head rotation as well. Yeah, maybe that'll do. Okay. So again, we want the head to be under the two arms. So let's open up the body, the hands on face pose. You can see the left arm, right arm. If we click, drag that so that it's underneath. And then when we go to position it, it'll be in the right position. We'll change the expression in a minute. Let me grab one of these phones. Click, double click so I get in and get the phone. Command C to copy. I'll come back out. Click to get in. Paste that phone in there. You can see it's appeared above the arm left. I'm going to use my shortcut, Command left square bracket, to move it down one layer and just keep tapping that till it goes underneath. So Bunny's over the moon with the pose. So we need to match that expression up. Again, I'm clicking the head, double click again to get to the expression. And let's find a happy face. There we go. Delete the neutral face. So yeah, okay. So we have our characters pretty much sorted out and ready to go. So the next step will be to start to frame these within the panels. Okay, so we have our characters ready to go. So we're going to start to panel them up. I think we can close up our characters. Okay, let's open up our panels and artboards. So yeah, so in here, there's a couple of different variations of panels. Like you've got kind of like rough edged ones, got ones that have baked corners that will resize along with the scale of the panel. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's even a complete artboards where you've kind of got panel layouts already set up like this. there's various different configurations. So some of them might be more useful than others. But let's get rid of these. We're not going to use them now. Delete, delete. So we're back where we started. So yeah, let's panel these up. So I think, I mean, you can, if you want to, even just use regular squares, regular rectangles. So one extra thing I have in the panels and artboards panel is some color swatches, which can be quite useful, just quick so you can experiment with different colors. I'll use these and see how they work. And maybe I'm just going to use my corner tool, just make them slightly less rounded. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so again, I'm going to send that to the back. So as well as the shortcut to do Command and square bracket to move something up and down layers, if you press Command Shift, left square bracket, it puts it all the way to the back. If you press Command Shift, right square bracket, then it brings it all the way to the front. Let's reposition these. And I might even group up some of them. So if I want to select the fox, because this panel's in the background, if I press Shift, that will deselect it. And now press Group. It'll just make it easier to grab and move everything around. Same deal. I'm going to select all these. I don't want the panel, so I'll shift select it to deselect it. Now I just have the bunny. Press Command G to group it. And let's get these positioned. Yeah, I think a framing like that will do the trick. I'm going to hold down Alt while I have this panel selected. And I'm also going to hold down Shift. That will snap it so that it stays aligned to it. I'll drop it around here for a second. And while I'm at it, I'll move it down here for the end frame too. For this middle one, I want to have two different panels. So yeah, I'm just going to copy this one and paste it so it's in the exact same place. And then I'll just drag the widths of them. When I position these a bit better, I'll figure out what way I want to do it. So let me group this guy up. Again, select everything, shift select what I don't want, group that. Now we are going to start to scale this. So there's a couple of handy things that you can do. Like if you go to scale something and like you can see that the phone is not scaling. If on the stroke panel, if I turn on scale with object, you'll see that now it's scaling along with the rest of the strokes. So let's bring that up. So I want it just to have the tops of its paws. Select both of these so that I can see. I'm going to drag both of these up just so one is on top of the other. So I can take this and I can drag this inside and that will clip inside the shape. So it's a great way of being able to reuse characters, and you can have the full bodies. You don't have to get into any complex clipping or anything like that. You can just literally drop it inside it. One little thing to keep an eye out for, just be careful where you drop it. If you drop it straight on top onto the little thumbnail, it's going to use the object that you're dropping on top of it as a mask. So we don't want that. It's great when you do want that. It's a very powerful tool, but we don't want that. We just want to actually put this inside. And I'm going to select that group and just reposition it a bit better. Okay. And now I'm going to do the same kind of thing for bunny. I'm going to turn on scale with object up on that stroke panel. And let's see, let's select both of these so I can see which panel it is. Drag them up so that they're on top of each other. I'm going to put this inside first before I go to position it. Yeah, I think something like this could work well. It's cool. And then the last frame, we want bunny to be the star. So we'll have them a bit more prominent. Select all of these, deselect the background, group or fox, make sure that scale with object is selected, and we can have him just happily in the background. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much getting there. I'm just going to tidy these up just to be a little neat. So maybe I'm going to look to keep consistent gaps between them. I'm not going to be too worried about getting it pixel perfect right now. Okay, so our panels are nice and neat. Make bunny a wee bit bigger. I like sometimes to have a little overlap outside of the panels. So I think that will do. And yeah, I'm going to change the colors of some of these backgrounds as well. So I'm going to use the A tool so I can just directly select that. Press I for the color dropper tool and try one of my color swatches that I dropped out earlier. Use the A tool again. That's everything pretty much ready to go now. I think the only other thing I'll do, I want to change the expression on the fox. So that's not going to be a problem. I'll go back into Universal Expressions and I'll get an excited face. Getting to an object that's clipped inside something else is the same as getting within groups. If I double click, it's going to select them. If I double click again, I've got the head. If I double click again, I've got the head shape. And now I've got the expression. So when I drag in my excited face, which I obviously hadn't scaled previously, but positioned that the way I want. Just a little sparkle in the eyes, I think, is a bit more interesting. Get rid of the old face. Align this a little bit better. Okay, and that will do the job. So I think that's it. And we're ready to add a few more touches to bring it to life. Okay, so I can get rid of this color swatches thing here. I don't have a need for it anymore. Yeah, so I'm going to do a little bit of tidying up and also adding in a little bit more detail. So I think I might kind of look at the stroke weights just to make them a little bit closer to each other. So let's see. I'm going to select these two guys. I can change my stroke width by pressing the square bracket keys without anything else. If I tap to the right, it'll make them a little bit thicker. So I think I prefer that a little bit thicker, which matches up with these. I might make this one, double click to select it, press the left one just to make it slightly thinner. Again, I'll select this one, make it slightly thicker. Bunny at the end. Yeah, I'll make it a bit thicker and make our fox a little bit thicker. Okay, that's grand. I think the only other thing that stuck out, I'm going to use a direct select tool to select the phone, and I'll just give it a slightly thicker outline on the phone. It's looking a little bit thin. Okay, grand. Okay, so I think the next thing that we'll do is we'll add some of our cute comic creator speech bubbles. Let me close up the panels. And expressions. Okay, so we've got speech bubbles. So these are put together using compound shapes, which makes them very easy to edit. Let me drag one across. So I'm going to take the thought bubble. And the fox is simply going to be saying, Now, and the font that we're using is included in the Cute Comic Creator as well. It's a nice little kind of clean handwriting font that we put together. So for editing the compound shapes, let's go and have a look at it in the layers panel. If I open that down, you'll see that's the main group. Then you've got text inside it, and now you've got some ovals that are part of a compound shape. Just to show you quickly what a compound shape is. If you have one shape like this, one shape like this, if we select both of these, and then we go up to the add function that will merge them together, you end up with one shape. So that's nice if that's all that you want to do. But if you select both of those, and this time when you go up to add, if you hold down the Alt or the Option key, it has the same end result, except the difference is it creates a compound. If you drop down the little compound group toggle, you'll be able to see that it's got both of these inside. So this is the base shape of the square, and then it's adding the circle on top of that. So if we move the circle on its own around, it creates the overall shape, but still maintains the editability so that you can do other things with it. Very, very, very useful. Yeah, that's as simple as that. So let's delete that. Now, knowing this, if we go into our compound group with the thought bubble, we can go in and you'll see that this thought bubble is made up of multiple shapes. And we can even add more shapes into that and it'll become part of the overall compound shape. Same with these thought bubbles. Like if we wanted them to be pointing a different way, we're able to move everything around exactly as we want it. As it happens, I'm fine with how this thought bubble currently is, but it's just good to know that that level of editability is there. So he's thinking, he gets the idea. Okay, so we want to have something happen. So yeah, let's do like a little sound effect. So we'll bring in our kind of more shouty speech bubble. Change that to something like a simple ding. Oops. this is too big for the word that's in it, so we can change the size of it. We can change little arrow. I can press the A tool if I want to go in and edit that even further. It doesn't need to be a particularly thick line. We'll just have it go ding, so it's coming off the phone. I'll click off to deselect everything, click, and I can come back over and add that in so that it's roughly pointed at the phone. And then maybe we'll have a different one for, yeah, let's do something with this. We don't want text in this. Let's delete that. And I want this to be more of a square one. So again, this is a compound shape. I can go in, select my rectangle, change it so that it's more square. If we wanted to be really precise about it, we can go to the transform panel and set a size for it. So 180 by 180. Now it's a perfect square. I can grab my little triangle. Okay. And you can still edit these exactly the way you would any other shapes. But whatever the compound group, whatever you color you apply to that is going to be the color that's on all the group. It doesn't matter what colors the inside shapes are. It only matters what you set the overall one to be. So yeah, so we're going to do that red. And what else we got? Accents and shapes. Let's have a look. There's a whole bunch of little stuff in there. Let's drag in the heart. And maybe I'll use the color picker to select the same color as the background. No, make it a little bit lighter just so it stands out a bit more. Resize it. I think I'm going to get rid of the stroke entirely off that. Then just to align these a little bit better. I think this ding can reduce in size a bit. And then I'll reduce the size of the stroke, again, using the same shortcut. Okay, I think that does the trick. And in the last one, well, I think the expression says it all really. It doesn't need a whole lot more than that, but I might just add in, if I can find it, I think I've got a series of hearts cluster. Oh, there we go. I'll make this the same color as the red in this box. So press I, make sure I'm on my fill color, click on that. For the outline, I'm going to do them white. Make that a little bit bigger. And reduce the stroke a little bit. And I'll also align the stroke to the outside. Yeah, I think that'll do it. So, I mean, you could add in more little heart accents if you wanted, or little ones coming off it, but it doesn't really need that much stuff going on in it, I don't think. So yeah, so that's pretty much the paneling and the contents, and then just a little bit of extra details dropped in. I think the only thing I'd like to do in this now, just to make it look a little bit better, is give it a paper texture. So if I go to tiling paper textures, and this just goes straight for grainy. Now it's going to look a bit strong initially. We're going to reduce the detail on that. Now, inside that group, there's all sorts going on. There's a couple of different layers that have different blend modes, which give it a more authentic look. But one tip is to always, at the very bottom of your file, I'm going to press M, cycle around till I get to main color. I'm going to put a white background underneath everything. So that's a white square, Command Shift, square bracket to move everything to the back. If I'll leave that texture strong for the moment, but if I go to this layer, if I turn it off, you'll see it has a different interaction without that solid white color underneath it. So it's important to get that in. I'll just name that background. And I'll also click on the lock so I don't keep selecting it by accident. My paper texture, I don't need it to be that strong. I'll drop the effect down to like 50% by changing the opacity in the layers panel. And I think that's subtle enough. I turn it on and off. You can see it makes a big difference, and it just makes it look a little bit more interesting. And other than that, I can see there's a little line on my character over here. Let me lock that entire group of the paper so I don't select it all the time. I'll just move that up so that little squiggle isn't there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if I wanted, I could just grab my artboard tool and then just put in a new artboard around it. So it's ready to export. I'm just going to unlock my paper texture. The great thing about this is that it's perfectly tiling and repeating. So no matter what size I drag this or what area it covers, it's always going to cover it, cover any size of artwork that you can throw at it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for that. Like, let's say that I wanted to, prep a 9:16 or a 4:5 ratio image for social media. So I could do that quite quickly. Let's alt drag the entire artboard over. And then on this artboard, I'm going to go to my transform panel. I'm going to set the size. So 1080 by 1920 is a typical 9:16. Open up that artboard. I'm going to, I don't need to unlock that. I'll just select all of the artwork. Now I can drag, and on the transform panel, I'm going to turn on the scale override. That'll just make sure that everything scales exactly as it is. And I'll hold down shift while I'm doing that so that the proportions don't change. If you see that stuff is going like this, you need to hold down shift. So if you want it to be even more precise, you could actually group all of that and then use one of the align tools, which will perfectly center it on the artboard. So let's say this is our comic 9:16. I can alt drag, bring that over. Let's do our 4:5. The reason I'm using the X is that's just some file systems have a little bit of a problem with colons, semicolons, and other symbols like that. But anyway, let's click on this. 1080 and 1350 will be this. I already have everything in there. Let me lock that top layer of the texture. So yeah, so if we want to export that, may as well take it a step further, go to the export persona. You'll see that the names of our artboards are already there. We don't want artboard 1 because it's just our working canvas, if you like. So you can go and set default formats for everything, but for these, we're just going to select the 2 of these, and you could do ping or JPEG high quality. That should be fine because the stuff is going to get compressed on social media, etc. But once you've done that, you're able to export, and then that's it. Bob's your auntie. You have your social media posts ready to rock.